Did you guys hear that Apex Legends just hit 100 million players? It sounds impressive, but after its surprise release in February of 2019, this MOBA-like Battle Royale hybrid saw 50 million players at the end of its first month. Fortnite took 3 months to hit 20 million, meaning the immediate rise of Apex was meteoric, unprecedented for a Battle Royale at launch. Only Warzone has ever matched this. Now, as exciting as the 100 million stat is for Apex Legends, it almost feels like the player count should be much higher given the positive reception of the game at the outset. But after a meteoric rise, Apex experienced a severe falling off when the hype faded. The only question is, how far did Apex really fall, and what is it doing now to battle its way back to the top? After PUBG and Fortnite's breakthrough success, every dev and publisher was trying to get in on the BR craze. Some of them were passable, but most of them went down in a storm of, fire. In comparison, the origins of Apex Legends started much earlier, with the founding of Respawn Entertainment in 2010 by lead Call of Duty devs Vince Zampella and Jason West, after a, well, less than cordial split from Activision. Respawn's first game was Titanfall, a multiplayer-only mech and pilot battleground released exclusively for the Xbox platform. The game was an immediate success, but it wasn't a long-lived one. The rich lore of the Titanfall universe and silky smooth gunplay was captivating, but back in 2014, most players weren't yet ready for a multiplayer-only console game, and the market didn't yet know how to profit from it. After a couple of months with no updates or major changes, many felt like it was an incomplete package. Sounds somehow familiar. But they were more than ready with the follow-up in Titanfall 2. Unfortunately, even though this sequel was amazing, a critical hit even, and improved nearly everything from the original, it didn't perform as well as EA had hoped. Which is funny considering the murder row EA made this game walk down in the form of its highly competitive release schedule. But don't let that shaky past stop you now. Even today, Titanfall 2 is worth the price of admission because that wall-running, mech-mashing, time-bending campaign is magnificent. Apex Legends, the Battle Royale, was originally intended to be some variant of Titanfall 3. When they finished Titanfall 2, different teams at Respawn broke off into smaller groups and were tasked with exploring new avenues in game design. Battle Royales was just one of these new directions they chose. Inspired by PUBG, BRs were on a lot of devs' mind at Respawn, but when they noticed the success of Fortnite at the time of production, it dominated everybody's mind. They realized there was an opportunity for innovation in the BR market, and they wanted to pivot to take advantage of it. EA, the kings of sound decision making, were hesitant, but Respawn would not take no for an answer and forged ahead. On February 4th of 2019, Apex Legends launched. It was also the first day that anyone had heard of it at all. Now that's the sort of instant gratification we need more of in the gaming industry. It was streamed by dozens of popular influencers, some of whom had even helped shape the game in meaningful ways. Day 1 saw 2.5 million players hot drop into Kings Canyon, led by their very first jump masters, to experience everything new Apex brought to the table. As far as Battle Royales went, that was quite a lot. It took the vibrant colours and easy-to-understand loot system from Fortnite, the weapon customization from PUBG, and its own buttery smooth gunplay from Titanfall to make arguably the most polished battle royale to date at the time. Where early movement in Fortnite felt a bit stilted, and in every other BR like PUBG it was just plain janky, Apex let you slide down hills, wall climb, and mantle almost any obstacle you came across. More than overall polish, Apex also set itself apart by focusing on its legends. Each legend featured a rich backstory directly linked to the Titanfall universe, and they were all interconnected with each other. More importantly, each legend has their own class abilities, similar to a game like Overwatch. Apex's unique 3-person squads made for a variety of team comps and match variety, giving BR gamers a desperately needed breath of fresh air. However, 2 systems set Apex apart and were so revolutionary to the genre that Fortnite copped them both barely a month later. The first was the company's namesake, Respawn. Surprisingly, before Apex, one of the biggest draws to the BR genre was a lack of respawning, but the devs decided that particular aspect didn't work for their game. So they designed the battle boxes, teammate banners, and respawn beacons to bring players back into the fray. The other impactful system was the oh-so-roll-off-the-tongue context-sensitive smart comms, or just the ping system as actual humans call it nowadays. A way for players to mark anything and everything on the map with with ease. Enemies, points of interest, items, ping it. And suddenly communication with randoms became a whole lot easier. The ping system has now become standard in most new multiplayer shooters and even some co-op RPGs. Unfortunately, even with all those innovations, Apex's initial hype didn't last very long. Only 2 months after launch, the concurrent player base and profits dropped suddenly, almost 70% from the first month. But with generally positive reviews and solid reception from players, the only question was, why? In a $455 million purchase of Respawn Entertainment by EA, the company promised to release a few new titles, and the biggest among them was a brand new Star Wars IP, Jedi Fallen Order. After Apex's release in February, the team that scrambled to make it a reality suddenly shifted gears to make sure Star Wars was ready for its November release later that year. This internal manpower pivot cost Apex very dearly. During this time, Apex went through the motions, but it didn't do enough to keep a game as a service player base engaged. By the time Apex came around in February 2019, Fortnite was already on the precipice of its 8th season and had the time to fully refine their Battle Pass model. There was a lot of optimism for Apex's first season, The Wild Frontier, which was said to feature a Battle Pass that could rival Fortnite's stranglehold on the market. But when it came out, most players realized it was a hollow lip service gesture. There were weapon skins, but no character skins, and there were stat trackers rather than, well, anything people actually wanted. With this lackluster release, the initial hype faded and the following season didn't fare much better. The introduction of new heroes wasn't enough to keep players engaged for the long term, and the hefty $20 price tags on microtransaction cosmetics didn't go over well. There would be spikes in interest with new content releases, but not enough reason to keep players coming back in a sustainable way. There were events, but not enough incentive to complete them. The new ranked mode felt like a step in the right direction and showed Apex's clear interest in esports, but its initial foray wasn't as fleshed out as it would eventually become. Respawn did their best to push out content, but didn't yet solve the issue of maintaining interest that a games-as-a-service model required. To try something new, the third season, Meltdown, brought an entirely new map, World's Edge, after the hero of the season, Crypto, blew up Kings Canyon. This event played into what Apex would focus more directly on in the future, but it was still the player's first taste of its lore-heavy episodic adventure. At the time, all players saw was that Respawn made a new map, but locked them out of the well-loved old one. Basically, it followed the Destiny pattern of content lockouts, and continued issues with microtransactions didn't help their case. At first, the new map was well received, but with limited events and again, limited reasons to keep coming back, spikes in interest faded very quickly. It was also the longest running season at 126 days, and by the end, the days really dragged on. Approaching the 1-year mark with Jedi Fallen Order released and behind them, Respawn refocused on Apex with a course correction on the horizon. Season 4 and the build-up to it finally showed that Apex had some sort of vision for its future. The introduction of Revenant was a twist with marketing, leading us to believe we knew exactly who the new hero might be, but it also brought innovations to the design by adding duo modes, the Evo shield, and most importantly, map rotations. What all of that showed is that Respawn was listening to the fans. They were reacting to solve problems, refining who they were in the genre, and pushing to make sure content didn't get stale. More than just a marketing twist, Revenant from Season 4 also felt like a tonal shift from a lore standpoint, with a dark and deadly assassin joining the otherwise fairly vibrant mix of characters. Even Caustic could get away with his war-crimey quips by honing in on his mad scientist vibe, but Revenant was just dark, like DC Universe dark. This move cemented that Apex wasn't just making seasons like Fortnite, based around whatever seemed popular at the time with no clear through line. It also showed that Respawn was coming to understand who their fanbase was. Maybe it was an older demographic than Fortnite, and content should be targeted accordingly. What Revenant's inclusion showed is that Apex has an overarching episodic story being told through its legends, and those legends are interconnected to one another. The Revenant trailer, widely lauded as a fan favorite, sparked the interest of lorehounds, which had even more to indulge with the release of Season 5 and Loba's direct connection to Revenant. These characters, alongside the rest of the cast, suddenly made sense. The universe of Titanfall was vast, and Apex became a conduit to explore it. Every season following 4 shared that refined focus on character, with in-game legend interactions, comic book-style story quests, and daily challenges that kept players engaged. More than just characters, Apex used its lore to introduce new weapons, maps, game mechanics, and the overarching story of an energy crisis and the personal legend stories of emotional consequence. Suddenly, the background of Apex became a deep and dysfunctional tale of parties on the brink of another war, all in motion as legends battled for entertainment, fame, and opposing motivations. Over time, Apex added depth to an otherwise shallow, more gameplay-focused genre. This has made them, if not unique, certainly innovators in the space and helped change the perceptions of the early season failings. Apex Legends has felt like the new hotness in the BR scene, then a jaded EA letdown, and finally it's becoming the game we all knew it could be. April marked its 100 million player milestone, and Respawn is living up to its Season 1 promise of a wild frontier. The new season, Legacy, not only offers a plethora of new content, including a 3v3 elimination mode targeted for the esports audience, but a mobile version that brings Apex to a brand new gaming space. Compound that with the new hero Valkyrie's direct connection to Titanfall 2, and this new season has not only boosted sales for that 5-year-old game, but sparked further interest in where Respawn might take its 2 most famous IPs next. As of now, Apex is on an amazing track, head-to-head with Call of Duty's Warzone. If Respawn continue to innovate and listen to the fans, Apex's rise won't be stopping anytime soon. But what do you guys think? Is Apex on the up and up? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in more gaming news or upcoming titles to keep an eye out for, please consider liking or subscribing for more. We'll see you guys next time.